Hey guys, welcome back to Critical Flick. Today I'm going to talk about Us. So, Us is the second directorial film by Jordan Peele, following up from his smash hit Get Out. And I'm happy to report, I think he hit it out of the park again. I think I actually like Us a little bit more than Get Out, and that's saying a lot. So this film is more in vein of being a traditional horror film compared to Get Out. It does have its psychological elements, and it has the same political satire and a lot of layering that Get Out has, with being a little less obvious is what it's trying to say, and I really enjoyed that about the film. I'm a big fan of horror. I've really enjoyed horror movies, and this does scratch every itch that traditional horror fans enjoy in movies. It has that really eerie tension, that very uncomfortable atmosphere. Obviously has the graphic scenes that you traditionally have with horror films. But one of the things that Jordan Peele does so well, what he did so well in Get Out, is he underscores some of the horror with comedy. And I think that's something that, coming from his comedic background, he really brings to the table that you don't see in horror films all that often, especially in mainstream horror films that are being seen all over the country. The acting in the film I thought was phenomenal. I was really impressed with Lupita Nyong'o. I think that she is an amazing actress, and in this movie, she knocks it out of the park. Being able to play two different characters in the same film that are almost polar opposites of each other, and having to play this psychotic, broken, just mess of a character, as well as someone who's a just totally fearful but still a very warm and joyous character, and then having that character be broken down. It just, there's so many layers to her character, both on the shadow side and her normal side, that I really loved it, and I was just so impressed. Winston Duke, who you probably know from Black Panther, also really great in the film. His comedic timing worked excellently with this story. I think that his underscoring of some of the more tense moments really benefited the film and made it stand out from being just your traditional scary movie with creepy things going on. It added more of like a realism to the films, because there's obviously very ridiculous things going on, instead of the characters just accepting that this is reality, which happens in a lot of sci-fi horror films. When something ridiculous is going on, he kind of says what the audience is thinking, and it had some good laughs. Definitely some people in the theater really connected with that character. The two children in the film, played by Shahadi Jackson and Owen Alex, I thought they did a really good job. I was really impressed because, as you know from a lot of other films, especially horror films, child actors can really struggle, especially with horror films. And they knocked it out of the park. They played both the same as the parents. They played the polar opposites of each other. They really handled how a child would react, and kind of how, especially the young boy, is being influenced by the events in this film and kind of growing. It's almost like they're coming of age because of this traumatic event and really coming together as a family unit. And I think that's one of the reasons why I really love this movie. I mean, even with the hard tones of it, I loved the family dynamic and them coming together to fight these odds, fighting themselves. And I thought that was great. Elisabeth Moss and Tim Heidecker also in it. Tim Heidecker, who you might know from the Tim and Eric show, which is it's funny, and he plays a funnier character, in his interactions in the film and what goes on with his character is specifically a standout moment in the movie. I thought that his interaction with the father and everything in it, I thought that those were great aspects of the film. The one issue I may have with this movie overall is the plot and the story. So the plot, I was really interested. It really drew me into, like, what is going on? I really need to know what's going on, and I want to try and figure it out. And I love movies that are kind of letting me connect the threads and understand what's going on. And it does that in the beginning. It makes you really interested in the things that the shadow clones of the main characters are saying are so strange, and it's so, like, you just want to know. And then the problem is when they kind of just tell you what's going on in a kind of haphazardly way, I didn't think it paid off that well. I think that they did an okay job of explaining it, but I almost would have rather had them not explain anything. I was really interested in what's going on, and they have these very, like, ambiguous tones and imagery, and it's so captivating and creepy, and I just like, man, you kind of enthralled with the whole conspiracy of it. And then they tell you, and it's like, oh, okay. Well, I mean, I feel like there's more questions, but I guess I'll take that. And I didn't love that. I did, however, actually enjoy the ending of the film. I did think that there is a twist. I won't spoil anything for you, but I kind of had an idea that this twist was coming. If you know anything about when you watch films, if something isn't explicitly shown to you, sometimes things are a little different than what you think actually happened. And that's the case in this film. and I thought it was a really cool twist, but I did see it coming. Not necessarily a knock on the twist that I knew it beforehand, but it's a pretty good twist. And the one thing I do love is when the twist is revealed. It has that amazing ability in a movie where the twist kind of makes the rest of the movie make a little more sense, and it makes the things that are happening throughout the last hour seem still mysterious, but you're like, oh, okay, I kind of picked up on that. Like, why is this one this way but not this way? And how are these people doing this? Why are they doing this? I like that. I like that it kind of drew it all together. I don't like twists for twist's sake. I like twists that really reveal the plot and really reveal the story, and I liked the twist particular in this film. Speaking of the tone and how I like the horror tones and the uneasiness of the film, I thought that the score was excellent. It gave me real indie horror vibes. I had that feel of like an A24 movie, that orchestral, swelling, shrill, just the way that he does that. And then Jordan Peele's ability to take a song from pop culture and just make it creepy is just, that's great. It's always great when you can remix a song and make a song that's kind of happy and poppy and make it dark and menacing and just change the tone of reality. I really enjoy that. And that's something he's done so well. He takes some mundane things and he shifts them to be uncomfortable, like shifting this boardwalk setting as this happy, joyous place and making it dark and scary and like upsetting, and that's just impressive. I think he has just been knocking it out of the park. I thought it'd be hard to back up Get Out, and I mean, I think he just did a great job. The only other knock to the film, honestly, would be a little bit to do with pacing. It's not a huge issue, but I feel like the film does one of those things where you're building and building and building and you feel like you've reached the climax, but then you're not. You have this kind of falling action, then another climax, which for me, when you're sitting in a theater and you think this is where you're going towards and you think it's over and then it continues for another 20 minutes, it feels tacked on. Definitely think that the second half ending of the film paid off more than if it would have just ended immediately when I thought it was going to end. That was a great addition, but it does add a little fluff and extra time that I didn't think could have been used in other ways, or maybe just kind of took that one story and dragged it out without reaching a huge climax and then falling in another climax. As for the social commentary in the film, I think that's something that people are going into it and they want to get that from this film. That's what you got from Get Out. You got it so well executed on Get Out on so many levels. And I feel with one viewing of this movie, I can't fully do it justice, but you definitely are getting really interesting takes on social inequality and even a little bit of like consumerism and what, you know, it is to be an American and what means it's just so many levels to it. And I think that I will have to see this movie 3-4 times to really fully get what's going on and fully get the messages that he's sending. And I enjoy that. Some people might not like that. Some people might go into it and want it. They want to know what he's saying. They want to get it. I think Get Out did a little better job of just the audience kind of knew after one viewing what the messaging was and what the point of the film was. And this one has it where you're going to have to see it more than once. You're going to have to dissect the scenes and the imagery and the messages. And I like that in movies. I really enjoy ambiguity when it comes to that. So yeah, I think he did a great job there. So if I were to rate this movie, I would probably give it a 8.5 out of 10. I honestly saw this movie 3 or 4 days ago, and I thought I was a little underwhelmed at first, and the more I thought about it, it's one of those movies where you should kind of think about it and dwell on it for a day or two and really soak in and maybe read a little bit about what's going on with it and really just kind of, you know, maybe see it again before you really formulate an opinion on it. And that, like I said, that might not be for everybody, but for me as someone who really enjoys seeing movies and really getting something out of the movie-going experience instead of just being entertained, being told to think about what's going on, I loved it. And I think now I enjoy it a lot more. I think if I left the theater, I might have given it a 7.5, but it's really grown on me. I think it's great. And honestly, if I see it a couple more times, it might go up. But yeah, thanks for watching. Remember to like and subscribe, and see you guys next time.